Welcome to Here's How We Get There. It's the daily show filled with conversations about business and mental health in a down-to-earth style with real-world language. Now let's dive in with your co-hosts, Kenneth Shark-Kinney and Trey Tucker.
So lately, Bruce Willis has been in the news because he's been battling dementia, an early form of it. And in his particular case, he has lost the ability to speak. And there's so many different variations of it, but it brings to mind the greater story of the people who are the caregivers to these folks that are in these situations. And Shark, I know you've got a story that relates to this topic, so I'd love to hear it.
Yeah, well, this story came up to me really because I applaud his wife. I can't remember how they've been married at least a decade now, I think, and she has stayed by his side. She's pulled in his previous wife of Demi Moore, and they've, brought in both families. But it just really shows the importance of having a good caregiver structure for something like that. And for the most part, it's generally family, not for everybody, but for the most part it is. And I applaud all the stories she's put out. She's got a decent sized following, but I thought about what happened in my own life with both my parents who've passed on, and they both had debilitating diseases that took them down over time. And I watched what my mother went through when taking care of my father, and what I ended up doing in the same with watching my own mother go through several months of issues before she passed. God rest both their souls. But it became so apparent to me that we were both getting worn out when my father was sick, and I was getting worn down. Was not taking care of myself from health. My mental health, for whatever it was worth, was way down low. It was like a game character on a video game where I was down at like orange to almost red. And it was, but you don't give up. You never give up. That player never deletes. You do whatever you can, healthy or unhealthy, to try to keep yourself propped up, to take care of others. And I have such admiration for people, but I'd love to know what tips you have for being able to deal with that, because for me, it was over months and months, and it wasn't a one-time thing, but it can wear you down pretty quickly.
And that alone, for other factors as well, but that alone, that wear down factor, is one of the reasons this is one of the toughest struggles in anybody's life. And the other thing is, you can't relate to it until you've acted through it like you have. Until then, you can look at somebody from the outside and have maybe some sympathy for them, but without the empathy of actually knowing just what a struggle and what a drain and truly how damaging it is probably one of the top 3 to 5 most psychologically damaging moments in somebody's life, or seasons of somebody's life. So I'm glad we're bringing the topic to light here, but since it's a short show, I don't have a ton of time to go into all the tips, but the main tip I would tell people is that there are support groups for caregivers, and you don't have to go in person if that's not possible. There are online support groups, but it is such a lonely feeling because you're so physically isolated, but also a lot of times, even if you're in the same room with somebody else, you just feel isolated and alone because nobody else is carrying the burden that you're carrying. So you've got to have people that are actually able to empathize with you and walk beside you, whether on the screen to give you that support once a week or in person. But if you try to carry that burden alone, not only are you going to be drained, but you're not going to be the best caregiver for the person, for that loved one. So absolutely, it's got to be community. And then from the community, there's other tips you can go with from there. But bottom line is, don't do it alone.
Well, and then another thing too, my mother, before she went to the hospital, was in a assisted living facility type nursing home. And so there was support for her from a medical perspective, but a lot of people, like when my dad died in the home, it doesn't matter if they're in the home or if they're in a medical facility. The struggle that people go through, it is real. It is never ending until the end, but it can bring you down with it. And so I think, if anything, it's just try to take care of yourself and reach out to people who are there, because there are always people somewhere who are there to help lift your spirits and be there for you when you know you just need a cry or a hug or just a brief moment to feel like you're connected to the rest of the world. And to your point, I could never have explained it to anybody for them to ever understand what we were going through. So you guys know, guys and gals know, you're not alone. Take care.
Take care.
Thank you for joining Shark and Trey on the Here's How We Get There show. Make sure to rate, review, and subscribe to the show and visit here'showwegetthere.com. That's here'showwegetthere.com.